From the fragmented world of our everyday lives, we gather together in search of wholeness. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the entire congregation, I welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Shenandoah Valley. I'm Leslie Blackburn, your worship associate for today. We wish to acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Shawnee, the Manahoac, the Massawomack, and the Monacan tribes who lived in the area prior to the arrival of European settlers who then took the land for their own. We come together each Sunday morning as a community of seekers, seekers of what is important in our lives, seekers of understanding in the face of uncertainty and loss, seekers of forgiveness for our shortcomings, seekers of gratitude for the unexpected gifts we received from all around us. We gather in awe of the beauty of nature and the mysteries of the universe. But most importantly, we come together as seekers of a community of love and empowerment, celebrating our search for truth and meaning in our everyday lives. Now, as Jim Peters comes forward to light the chalice, let us all say together here and online the words for lighting our chalice. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, to share. And I invite you to join with us as we say our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help our neighbor. To these ends, we covenant one with another. Our opening hymn for today is hymn number 83 in the gray hymnal, Winds Be Still. Please stand in body or spirit as we sing. Great job, everyone. Good. Our speaker for today is Dr. Clyde Croswell. Clyde Croswell was born in Memphis, Tennessee on January 22nd, 1945, and graduated from Memphis Central High School in 1962. His working career covered three major fields: 28 and a half years in the U.S. Marine Corps, 15 years as a doctoral professor at the George Washington University, and over 10 years as president of Community L Incorporated, his own organizational learning consultancy firm located in Northern Virginia. On April 1st, 1964, Clyde joined the Marine Corps as a private and began his career at the Marine Corps Boot Camp in Parris Island, South Carolina. He served his earliest years in the Vietnam War from 1965 to 1967, when the Corporal Croswell was transferred to the U.S. Navy base in Yokosuka, Japan, for the duty with the Marine Barracks. After duty at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, with the 2nd Marine Division, Gunnery Sergeant Croswell was transferred to the Navy Marine Corps Army School of Music in Little Creek, Virginia, where he completed the advanced course as a formal prerequisite for becoming a commissioned band officer. Upon completion, Clyde was transferred to Dade City, Florida, to achieve his bachelor's degree in music education there at St. Leo University. While there, Gunnery Sergeant Croswell applied to become a commissioned officer, was selected, and was immediately commissioned as a 2nd lieutenant. After receiving his bachelor's degree in 1977, Lieutenant Croswell once again transferred to the Far East for duty in Iwakuni, Japan, and later in Okinawa from 1982 to 85 as Captain Croswell, followed shortly by promotion to Major. When Major Croswell returned stateside in 1985 to serve as the officer in charge of the Marine element at the School of Music, he continued his off-duty education by completing his master's degree in human resource development from the George Washington University's off-campus satellite program in Hampton Roads, Virginia. Then again in 1988, while serving at headquarters, U.S. Marine Corps Military Music Section in Washington, D.C., as the head administrator for all 12 U.S. Marine Corps field bands worldwide, he was promoted to lieutenant colonel and retired in 1992, receiving the Distinguished Service Award for his exemplary career with the Marines. Clyde then began his doctoral studies in GWU's Graduate School of Education and Human Development in the Executive Leadership Doctoral Program. And Clyde immediately went to work as a research fellow at George Washington's Institute for the Study of Learning at the Ashburn campus. Completed his doctorate in 1996 and began serving as a doctoral professor and adjunct faculty member. Dr. Croswell's study and research both focus on organization and community-level learning, visionary leadership, and dialogic leadership as the essence of co-creativity. Clyde and his lovely wife, Mizwe, who's sitting right here, retired in Berryville, Virginia, and are seeking happiness, both for self and others, in order to best co-create and serve world peace by studying and spiritually practicing Nichiren Buddhism. Did I say that right? Nichiren, okay. So welcome, Clyde.
Thank you.
And I turn the mic over to you for words of reflection.
Thank you, Leslie. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm already in love here with your site and the music. You're going to hear in my message, a little bit more of similar language, and I hope that you'll know how much I appreciate the opportunity to come here and be with this spiritual community. When I was first at George Washington University as a professor, I found that the doctoral students were not conventional students. They were all 40, 50, or 60 years of age, and they had come seeking, let's see, is this better? The problem is I'm getting a little feedback. Yeah, nice. maybe I'll stay away from that. But can you hear me back in the back? I think there's pretty good resonance in here. So as I was watching these doctoral students, they were already successful at 40, 50, and 60. They were coming back to get a doctorate. But I noticed that many of them were not really emotionally engaged with the process. And so a little bit later, I started using poetry from people like David White and others that I see a couple of people acknowledging that. John O'Donoghue, both from Ireland. But so I said, I'm going to write a poem and maybe try to get their attention, you know, because some of them, they really weren't coming for objective learning about something out there. They were trying to figure out, who am I, and what am I going to do with the second half of my life, you know? And I'm working on the last third of my life now. But so I wrote them a poem, and Leslie's going to share another one in a few moments. This one is called "This Touch of Language." You know, language carries energy. Positive, negative, or ambivalent. Here we go. This touch of language. Why and how do we touch the other? We are one universe belonging together, not separate. Over the distance between us, with our words, moment by moment, we touch the other. And we are touched at the same moment. This touch of language can heal or not. This that we are binds us together or carves out wounds. Our words can cultivate compassion and understanding, giving the gift of life and death to the other. When, before we speak, taking in this deep breath of spirit, finding our time and places in the world, freeing us from the cage of fear, settling into our true self, not that of ego. This sets free the love that we are. Let us be touched by this, the wind, the breath, the wisdom of the other. It is in this touch of language we serve the other and ourself. We become whole, and our universe is made complete.
As Karen comes forward to do the children of all ages, if there are any children or people who feel like children and want to come down front.
Today's story is a meditation. Do you know what a meditation is? Yeah. A meditation is like taking your brain on a little vacation, right? It's a quiet time to listen to your breath, and it's a superpower because you can use it to calm your mind and your body. And this is called a pebble practice because when we meditate, we call it practicing because we're always practicing. It's never perfect. The pebble practice is very simple. It is a little meditation you can do anywhere or anytime. To meditate is to think quietly about something. You may practice pebble meditation at the foot of a tree in your living room or wherever you like, but the place should be quiet. It's nice and quiet in here right now. So there's 4 pebbles, and the first pebble represents a flower, and the second pebble represents a mountain, the third, calm water, and the fourth is space. When I look at a child, I always see him or her as a flower, Fresh and beautiful and open to the moment, the pebble practice can help preserve our freshness. The second pebble represents a mountain. There's a mountain inside each of us, and it keeps us solid and calm. Solidity makes it possible for us to be happy. When you are solid, people can rely on you. When your loved one is solid, you can rely on her. Your solidity is something that you can offer to the person you love. The third pebble represents calm water. If you have seen the surface of a lake when it's very still, you may have noticed that it reflects the mountains, clouds, and trees around it perfectly. You can take a picture of the lake, and it is as if you are taking a picture of the surrounding sky, trees, and mountains because they're so clearly reflected in the surface of the lake. And then the fourth pebble is space. And sometimes we think about space as outer space, right? In the night sky with the stars, but space is also around us, right? We have room to move freely. Space is freedom, and freedom is the foundation of true happiness. Without freedom, our happiness is not complete. We want to be free from fear and anger, despair, and worries. Breathing in, you can bring a lot of space into yourself, and breathing out, you can bring a lot of space to your beloved ones. So now we're going to practice the meditation. And one of the most important parts is breathing and listening to our breath. Can you breathe in and breathe out? So relaxing. So we're going to hold the first pebble. So hold one pebble. And we're going to think about a fresh flower. And breathing in, I see myself as a flower, a human flower. Breathing out, I am beautiful just as I am, and I feel very fresh. So breathing in, flower. Breathing out, fresh. Okay, now you can set that one down and go for another one. There you go. The next one is the mountain. Remember, the mountain is strong and solid. Breathing in, I see myself as a mountain. Breathing out, I feel solid. Nothing can move or distract me. So, mountain, solid. Get the next one? Okay. And we're going to hold it and we're going to say, breathing in, I see myself as still water, a calm, clear lake, in and around me. Breathing out, I reflect things just as they are, inside and around me. Breathing in, still water. Breathing out, reflecting. Got the last one? Perfect. Breathing in, I see myself as the big blue sky with lots of space in and around me. Breathing out, I feel very free and at ease. Ready? Space. Free. Perfect. Did a great job. Do you feel a little relaxed now? Yeah. And we can always go back to that to calm our body and calm our mind. Thanks so much for coming up. Should we sing Ruby out? Go now in peace. Go now in peace. May the spirit of us surround you everywhere. Everywhere you may go.
Words for reflection today were written by Clyde Croswell. Lost and found, in search of a new way of being in relationship with the world. When the time is taken and the limitations of routine thought and habit and sheer memory alone are arrested, there, the mindfulness of art and imagination begins, where the knowledge of science falls short. It is a mind-body phenomenon, neither works alone. Yet following Einstein's path, imagination is more important than knowledge. Like pickaxe work tending hardened ground, the ego falls away like an eagle's molting, a serpent shedding its old tired skin, unfolding a new form. The novel, emerging self can mirror souls in action, that one-of-a-kind reflecting the simultaneous hospice worker for the old and midwife for the new. It is then we become this, honored this, living with the other in wholeness and with complementarity, infinite potential, participating observers transforming space and matter, time and eternity, pure energy set free. To what end? None. A new beginning, living, more source than outcome, more art than science, beyond the biases of modernity and its mere computation, the more rare, precious, sacred mind of contemplation, found more than lost.
So those students woke up and they began to realize that they needed the energy of something to get them engaged. So I have a couple of stories to tell this morning, and I hope you'll enjoy them. Maybe even learn a little bit. I'd like to begin by saying thanks to every one of you for creating this space and inviting me to join this spiritual community to speak with you today. I love how you think, and particularly the way you use meaningful language to interconnect with others so they can follow your leadership in your program and activities. On the program, the words are just magnificent, you know. You know what they are. You see them far more often than I do. Open-minded, open-hearted, spiritual community that helps people lead lives of justice, love, learning, and hope. That really inspired me before I came to share the story of Nichiren Buddhism with each of you today. But first, I'd like to tell you about a short story I saw on TV earlier this week. I was watching Blue Bloods. You know that Tom Selleck movie where he's a captain of police, in a police captain, while much of his whole family is also in police work. Well, as the chief of police, Tom was being pressured by a higher political authority, happens all the time and everywhere, doesn't it, to endorse a police recruiting strategy that would use the tragic story of 9/11. He personally disagreed with that strategy, but he never really said why he disagreed. Finally, at the end of the movie, end of the show, Tom Selleck stood up to share his own personal wisdom regarding his opposition to the proposed strategy. He began with the phrase, "Telling our personal stories should be the heart and soul of any recruiting strategies for police work." I think what Tom Selleck meant was that simply showing the story of a single tragedy like 9/11 would not garner new recruits. Rather, it's our personal life stories, each of our personal life stories, that create human value. So let's begin a little bit with my personal life story about Buddhism now. Once upon a time, in 13th century Japan. A Buddhist reformer named Nichiren Daishonin established a practice of chanting a mantra, and it sounded like this: Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And you could pick the tempo up with a little practice. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Interestingly, Myoho Renge is the title of the Lotus Sutra that this group of Buddhists was following. So by using the word Nam in front of Myoho Renge Kyo, we are indicating that we're devoted. Nam means devoted. Devoted to faithfully living a life devoted to compassion, wisdom, and courage. And now, fast forwarding to the 7 centuries later, in the 20th century, on November 18th, 1930, a new Buddhist lay organization began forming in Japan. It is called Soka Gakkai, or Value Creating Society. Soka Gakkai members now co-create shared meanings and understandings by practicing intentional dialogue together. And they use it to help ourselves and all others best understand how to perform innovative practices, how to help ourselves and others become a Buddha, and how to co-create ideas for interconnecting self and others in order to achieve world peace. Gosh, I wish we could have gotten started earlier on this. The first founding president of this new 20th century Buddhism was Sunesaburo Makiguchi, an elementary school principal who introduced education for creative living. Makiguchi actually defined value as the expression of relationship between self and object, subject and object. Or in other words, human value creation is the process of living together while co-creating relationships between oneself and others. This new, more universal, altruistic perspective on Buddhism sees that the ongoing process of living Buddhism helps Nichiren Buddhism to move about and beyond self-serving, individual awakening alone. Nichiren Buddhism emphasizes altruistic practice called the Bodhisattva practice as a means to attain enlightenment for oneself and help others attain it as well, and help others. Because when we lift the other person up, we're also lifting ourselves up. This process of changing our lives, or inner transformation, we call human revolution. Nichiren Buddhists today mindfully study together and focus their mental attention, awareness, purpose, and spiritual intentions on co-creating broader and more universal human values. Monthly discussion meetings, in essence, co-create love in the precious space of our homes by practicing dialogue and the art of thinking together. We build shared meanings to spread kosen-rufu, or the process of building world peace. In less than 1 century now, the present 21st century form of a 2,500-year-old Buddhist practice has now evolved into practicing as a more holistic, global Buddhist community and philosophy that is collectively called Soka Gakkai International, or SGI. SGI's current worship is based on humanistic principles and teachings and learning how to create and achieve world peace while building on Buddhism's foundational 3 pillars of energy or strength: faith, study, and practice. And worldwide now, over 11 million people in 192 countries and territories are living Buddhism more fully by practicing this philosophy of human value creation. Perhaps most significantly, recently, in the New Human Revolution, Volume 30, written by Daisaku Ikeda, the 3rd founding president of Soka Gakkai, has ever so mindfully stated, a new chapter of history has opened. It's opening now. We can see it. We don't know where we're going, but a new chapter of history is opening now. I wholly agree with him. I don't think we're in the solely modern era any longer. A new language is springing up everywhere. Similarly, Niels Bohr, one of the founding fathers of quantum theory, has said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Mm-hmm. And as recently as September 2nd, my then calendar sayings may have said it best of all. To know what we do not know is the beginning of wisdom, open-mindedness. And who knows what artificial intelligence will bring. Now, with gratitude and being mindful of our brief time left together, let me begin to wrap up today's message by sharing just a few of the more stunning stories I learned from around the world that have literally changed my life and the way that I think. Let's begin with Chile. While I was a professor in the Executive Leadership Doctoral Program at George Washington, I annually took doctoral students to Santiago, Chile, on a 7-day elective course on the biology of change, not the psychology or sociology or anthropology, but the biology, the living system change, biology of change. Here's what we learned about change from the 2 Chilean biologists, Humberto Maturana and Francisco Varela. Autopoiesis, or the process of self-creating, is understood as a living system, individual, collective, a living system's ability to continuously practice, maintain, and renew itself. Autopoiesis, self-creating. I believe we human beings do have a self-creating capacity. And this is also where I learned that beautiful truth I mentioned earlier. Love is creating space for the other to come sit beside you in your daily routine. This is such a loving place. Can you feel the love in here? I know you can. Now, let's go back to Marine Corps boot camp, Parris Island. That's where I learned 2 things about myself. Number 1, I learned I could do a lot of things I never knew I could do before. And number 2, I learned I could do anything I set my mind to. I didn't know it at that time, but later, and in retrospect, I realized that these 2 learnings about the use of my mind would become vital to my own spiritual development. Next stop although I didn't literally go to California to find out about my mind, it's California, and there that Daniel Siegel, a medical doctor and neurobiologist, lives and works. Just listen closely to his definition of mind. I'm not talking about brain, something. I'm talking about, and he's talking about mind. Mind is the process that regulates the flow of information and energy. And it's both embodied and embedded between us all. This is the collective mind that we have. And this one here is beautiful. I also learned while there something about affective neuroscience. This is not an academic function here. Energy is affectivity. Energy affects the world. Our language affects the other, and vice versa. I better be careful about the language I use, because energy has a valence. It can be positive, negative, or productive, destructive, or ambivalent. I don't care. That's the mind, the process. It's a process that regulates the flow of information and energy, both embodied and embedded. Synchronistically, while teaching doctoral students at GW in Ashburn, the students and myself as well became totally drawn to the topics and practices of mindfulness and mindfulness-based stress reduction, including mindfulness, MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction, yoga. Jon Kabat-Zinn defines mindfulness as the awareness that comes from systematically paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally, because often our judgments are based on a false assumption. You know what I mean? You ever been there? I know you have. And non-judgmentally, paying attention to what is closest to home in your own experience. Let me see. I think we have just enough time for one or two more stops. Let's fly over to Ireland quickly to be with the wonderful poet David Whyte for a different kind of autopoiesis. Since poiesis does not just mean creativity, it's also the root word of poetry. So here's one of David Whyte's best poems, Loaves and Fishes. Some of you may have read it. This is not the age of information. This is not the age of information. Forget the news and the radio and the blurred screen. This is the time of loaves and fishes. People are hungry, and one good word is bread for 1,000. So it's about time. Let's get back home now to Washington, D.C. for perhaps our most valuable learning that I gained while a doctoral student at George Washington. It actually came from our two Chilean biologist friends. They said, learning is the transformation of behavior through experience. See, you learn if when you have an experience, you transform your behavior. So, in other words, do not confuse mere knowledge acquisition with learning. That's what we get at school, you know. The teacher gives us a list, take it home, and come back tomorrow, and I'll test you to see what you know. That's not learning. That's knowledge acquisition. Learning is the transformation of behavior through experience. I'd like to thank every one of you so much for your kind attention this morning. It was a wonderful being with some of my former students at Shenandoah University here today, and other folks like my massage friend, and I haven't seen in years. And I hope that you enjoyed today's message from Buddhism's human value creation. And if anyone has a question about any of these concepts, please feel free to get my cell phone number or email from either Dixie or Leslie, who are my across the street neighbors. Okay? Thank you very much.
Well, the purpose of the church is to encourage all who gather to grow more generous in spirit and in action. We will now gratefully receive an offering to sustain this self-supporting church and its ministries within and beyond our walls. If you're watching online, we hope you'll consider making an offering through our webpage, uushenandoah.org. If you're visiting, feel free to let the basket pass. Your presence is your gift. Let us seek to remember the wholeness of our lives, the weaving of light and shadow in this great and astonishing dance in which we move. Now, as Jim comes forward, let us say together the words for extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of our community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. In all the years Jim has been here, this is the first time he was the chalice person. Nice, Jim. Good job. Thank you. Thanks, Sue. And thank you, Clyde. And go now in peace, stay for some coffee, and hopefully there's some snacks out there.